on 987 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
There he is.
What's up, Jay?
Yeah, what's up? What's popping on the ones and twos? Jay Foreman, Austin Oerman, old school, the new school way. We are brought to you by the Mercado, certified Piedmontese, special ingredients, butcher shop, 84th and Havelock, 33rd Yankee Hill, 85th and Andremet, and 168th and Maple. My man with the plan, Austin. There's never a dull day in Nebraska sports. Obviously, I'm taking care of some stuff, taking care of some issues, but Austin, just like that, game against Tennessee, the Tennessee Volunteers, the Power T, as they like to call it, is null and void. What are your thoughts, my man?
It stinks. It really stinks. I think that was a game a lot of Husker fans were looking forward to. I'm sure you were looking forward to it. Maybe talk some of your junk from one of your bigger victories in college as well. But it's kind of not the biggest shock in the world either, Jay, because of the way the college football playoff is trending. I think that this game for Nebraska was scheduled. The home and home series really was scheduled with the 4-team college football playoff in mind, where if you can get a marquee non-conference win on your resume, that goes a long way. But now I think what we saw, especially for Nebraska's vantage point, is the Indiana model, where if you're able to go, 10-2 with the right wins, 11-1 with the right loss, or obviously undefeated, you're going to be in this 12-team college football playoff for the next couple of years, and then probably the 14 or 16 beyond that. So why would you open yourself up to another, tough game that you don't have to take? And especially from the Big Ten's perspective right now, where you're playing 9 conference games, the SEC is only playing 8 of them. Why would you expose yourself to another potential loss when you can make the eye test look a little bit better with a 10-2, 11-1 sort of record and look at the playoffs that way? I still think there's a lot of benefit for improving seeding. I think there's a lot of big picture benefit in brand awareness and in having a good reputation of being willing to go out and play these games that Nebraska is missing out on by canceling this home and home. But if the number one priority for Nebraska is Nebraska looking out for itself and giving itself the best chance and best opportunity to make sure they're still playing football in late December and potentially early January and beyond, it's an unfortunate, scheduling casualty, but I suppose it makes sense.
Yeah, I can see it from both sides. I just think it may be, obviously I don't, keep my, ear to the street too much. So, I think people got a little upset because I caught them by surprise, and look, we're, looking at, 2025 right down the barrel. And, we got a lot of transition with a lot of older players or players that have been around through 2 coaching staffs that are now gone. They have no more eligibility. Had a pretty good, portal class. So everything's pointing towards 25. And then next thing you know, was it 26 and 27? We're not playing Tennessee. So I could see why people would be upset. I could see why people are okay with it. Ultimately, you got to trust Troy Dannon, and I'm assuming Matt Rule's, aware of it, or definitely, he definitely was probably asked about it. And I'm sure the president and a bunch of them probably got together, put their minds together, and decided, this is the best for the university, both short term and long term. And you miss out on playing another blue blood, in a blue blood. Well, obviously Tennessee's a little bit farther along than us. They were in the college football playoffs this year, but you got to think Tennessee has been where we are right now, right? I feel like Tennessee, after Philip Fulmer, had went to the SEC championship. The next year was a little bit lean. People had wanted him out prior because guess what? He was too consistent. You fired him. Seriously, look, I got my best friend from the NFL played for Tennessee, Sean Bryson. Peerless Price I'm friends with. A couple other guys that I played with and against in the pros. I know him very well. Leonard Little, his daughter and my daughter went to middle school and first part of high school together. So we father-daughter dances. We literally, neither one of us could dance. Leonard could dance a lot better than me. I couldn't dance. We talked about that, and we talked about how people were, and he was on Philip Fulmer's side obviously, but then they wanted him out. rest is, from a Derek Dooley to Pruitt and all that. And then we've had,
1 year lane between full
1 year. 1 year in lane. But he just talked about, we kind of like spin their wheels because they were turning their nose up at it. And so, and the reason why it's important is because Tennessee, in their mind, got where we were at when they won a national championship. Not as dominant, but they got a national championship. And then we went to Frank, and then they kept Phillip, and then they kind of turned their nose up. But then they came out the other end. And I guess the only thing I can say is, since I feel like we're coming out the other end with obviously Coach Rule, it would have probably been, I thought it'd be pretty cool us to face each other. I think they love their coach. We love our coach, and so forth and so on. I'm sure they're upset about it because, the SEC teams, they still think, Tennessee's one of them too, quietly. They still think that they don't want to play another conference game. They'd rather play a Big Ten team because they still think they're better than the Big Ten. That's why they're more upset. Now, whether Nebraska had to stroke them a check a little bit to, for them to give it, they got plenty of time to find somebody else. And let's not act like the SEC always is looking for the best teams to play. When Bama played USC, when Texas and all these other teams, or when Wisconsin and play, it's money driven. They want it the first game of the year. They want all the eyes on their team, and they definitely usually come in significantly better than the team that they played at that time from the Big Ten and other places. So it was a good thought, but I think really, to be honest with you, as the offseason goes towards spring ball, and then obviously you got to address the spring game, or what's going to happen at the spring game. That you won't worry about who Nebraska plays instead of Tennessee. And the only thing I will say, I always think it's here, and maybe I know college football's changed. I just think, for me, and obviously it's a long time ago, and things were significantly different. It was many, many moons ago, many, many injuries ago. I just always liked teeing it up against the best players. I like that. That's what I came to Nebraska for. Let's go. And so, look, but the great thing about the Big Ten now, every game that they play in conference is very competitive, so they get it. So I don't think either team loses. I just think you have to deal with the next week or so to, dealing with people mad. It's not even another week. It's just through the weekend.
I think there's a lot here on the text line. Downtown Scott says the Tennessee game would be a lot better in the playoff. Yes, I mean, obviously, right? I mean, Jay has experience with playing Tennessee in a playoff caliber game, and that one definitely went Nebraska's way, which is great. 8750 says, one loss doesn't kill you, so I don't really understand why you would cancel. I get it, but I think we're still, Jay, getting used to how it is the college football playoff committee does its rankings, how it seeds teams. Because what's the difference between 11-1 and 10-2, for example? Not a whole lot. What's the difference between 10-2 and 9-3? Quite a bit, as we saw this year with Alabama, right? Which had a couple really good wins, but dropped a couple mediocre games. We haven't seen a team go 9-3 with say like a win over Tennessee hypothetically. And let's just use the 2026 schedule example. Let's say Nebraska beat Tennessee, but lost at Michigan State for one of its three losses. The committee hasn't had to judge a team like that. And, if it's an ACC team or a Big 12 team, they're 9-3, unless they're the automatic qualifier, like Clemson was this year, they're not getting in. But we saw that the committee didn't want a 9-3 SEC team in the field. Or maybe they wanted it, but they couldn't find a way to logically make it happen. That's why we got both SMU and Boise State in there. I don't know. But it's going to be safest, I think, for power conference teams, especially Big Ten and SEC teams, to shoot for double-digit wins. In the 4-team college football playoff era, if you had a marquee non-conference win like this, that would help you jump up, right? In a loss, you get a quote-unquote quality loss, such as it was for challenging yourself and playing the game. But if Nebraska, again, you don't go into a game assuming you're going to lose. That's not a healthy mindset, but you do have to consider all possibilities, right? If playing Tennessee and losing versus playing Bowling Green, the replacement is winning is 9-3 with Bowling Green and 8-4 versus Tennessee. It's really smart for Nebraska to go get Bowling Green, to get that extra win, to push themselves closer to that mark. Now, if the difference is, what if you go 9-3 with a win over Tennessee versus 10-2 with a win over Bowling Green? That's where I think there's a conversation to be had, but it's not like Nebraska will lack for opportunities either of these 2 years. Non-conference, obviously not great, but Nebraska's 4 home games in 2026 in conference play. Indiana, upstart. We'll see if they can continue their hot stretch with Signetti. Maryland, always going to be talented, right? Maybe not the best, but that's not a pushover. Ohio State, going to stay Ohio State, and Washington, which wasn't bad last year, and I think is only going to get better under your boy Jed Fish. Then you go on the road to Illinois, sneakiest 10-win team of the year. And again, got to wait and see in a couple of years. You go to Iowa, big rivalry game there. To Michigan State, not necessarily an easy place to play. You go to Oregon, and then you go to Rutgers, right? There are opportunities for Nebraska on that schedule. And then if we even flip ahead to 2027, when Nebraska would have gone on the road to Knoxville to play, Nebraska's road games in conference at Ohio State, Nebraska hasn't won there. At Wisconsin, Nebraska hasn't won there. At Washington, you're familiar. Been a while since Nebraska's been out there. We'll see where they're at. And then at Northwestern, always tricky whether or not it should be. Home games against Minnesota, Purdue, Iowa, Oregon, and Rutgers. So 27, the home slate looks maybe a little bit lighter, you would think at this point. But that road slate at Ohio State, at Wisconsin, if you added at Tennessee to that, that is a number 1 or at least top 10 caliber strength of schedule. So yes, you like strength of schedule, but I still think more than anything, Jay, you look at wins. Quality wins are better than low quality wins, but low quality wins are better than high quality losses and low quality losses. You'd rather bank more in the win column. And again, I go back to the Indiana method. Who did Indiana play? Who did Indiana beat this year?
Right.
They lost.
They beat us. We were ranked.
I know, but I'm just saying that's essentially the model that I think Nebraska is looking to follow right now is how can we get as many wins on the schedule as possible against teams? It's a kind of baseball style where you're looking at the RPI, right? Who does Nebraska think is going to be a good enough mid-major challenge that they can handle, that will have a good year in the MAC in these 2 years? And then can you take care of business or win a game or two? Maybe you shouldn't in conference play. That's essentially what Indiana did this year. And until Nebraska gets it rolling for 5-6 years at a time, even a decade, I still think that is the model that Nebraska has to follow for access to the college football playoff, instead of going above and beyond, testing itself with a game that the rest of the conference and the rest of the SEC isn't taking. As great as it is for fans, other teams aren't taking games like this. So it sucks to see it canceled, but this just brings Nebraska more in line with how these other programs are scheduling right now.
Yeah, I think that I think it's Tennessee somehow thinks they have they're superior. So that's the ego of Tennessee being upset, right? You can tell by the reaction. I mean,
yeah,
Dane White, like, damn, man,
chill, bro.
You need 5 HT or something. You need to settle you down, brother. I got something for you that settle you down there, Danny White. We'd be chilling, both of us. We had some chips afterwards. But then I also think that it's a good move that, look, if one thing you have to do, there's an old saying, you become a champion before you actually are crowned a champion. Now you have to act like one. You have to work like one. You got to sacrifice like one. You got to do all that stuff. So, look, Nebraska say, look, you guys have been playing by these rules. We feel like hopefully everybody in the conference feels the same. So we're going to beat you at your own game. Since you think you guys the SEC has had their run of dominance, led by Alabama, LSU, and then obviously really here lately with Georgia. Everybody else is trying to get in where they fit in, and that includes the Big Ten. Big Ten is the national champion, obviously has the crown, and so then therefore they're trying to do about face and play by the same rules. And sometimes they always say never get in a peanut match with a skunk, but sometimes when you want to get down there and dirty with the snake, you got to get down there and put your hand in the mud and rip his head off. And so that's what Nebraska and teams are trying to do. And ultimately all that stuff will fall to the wayside when Nebraska plays consistent football and they're back up in the mix. And so then you're going to have to refocus expectations, so forth and so on. The one thing college football is letting you know is the dominance of Alabama for, over a decade, or, however, their pretty good run where they were essentially in the title mix and hunt and talk every single year, is probably going to be, minimized down to, 2 to 4, maybe 3 to 5 year run. And you got to think, I just mentioned Alabama and Georgia. Let's not forget Clemson, right? They had their run, and then college football drastically changed. Now, Kirby Smart was able to save, their foundation and those collectives a lot of money by not really dabbing into the transfer portal. So we'll see what they do. We'll see what teams like North Carolina does, and there's also a team or two that we're not thinking about that hasn't been in the mix, or maybe peeked their head around it and kind of look like they want to be in the mix. Will be up there for that 3 to 5 year period. How does that affect the overall, I guess, mindset and scheduling? And don't think Nebraska is going to be the only one to have a second thought on, because the juice isn't worth the squeeze. If you're playing Tennessee, it's letting you know right now, it's really not worth it, especially with the additions to the Big Ten. And also, one thing I like, right? I like it if you. I mean, now granted, I'm going to say this. It would have been I'd rather play Tennessee, but I don't know all the factors. I'm just talking as a player. I would want to play Tennessee just because it'd be, I played them once and it was a pretty cool experience. But also like a little bit of, we're going to be more obligated to the Big Ten in our conference schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Non-con, we'll get it in, but we're not going to help the SEC by doing them a favor. We're going to do ourselves a favor first. And I think that's probably should be a bigger news point than anything, because I think that's a change in mindset. Then therefore it changed the actions. And then now you're seeing tangible results of it, which say, you know what, we'll stroke your check just to let you know we weren't just bluffing when we probably sent an email saying we had second thoughts.
I think that's a great way to look at it too, Jay, because we think about, I think on the outside, the perspective is, oh, look at the Big Ten and the SEC working together, right? They're the two biggest brands in college football in terms of conferences. They're the ones working together on college football playoff expansion and a lot of these issues. But as much as they're working together, they're also working against each other. They're competitors, right? These leagues want to one-up each other. Why did the Big Ten invest so much and make a lot of the decisions it did? To catch the SEC. Why did the SEC back in the early 2000s make a lot of the decisions it did? Because it wanted to get ahead. So yes, both of these conferences are working together, but this is a partnership, an alliance of convenience, more so than it is of conviction necessarily, right? They want the best for each other because it's the best for them, not because they actually value what the other necessarily brings to the table for its own right. So I do think you're onto something there when you mention, Nebraska getting out of this game. Do I think this came from the Big Ten office? Absolutely not. I would assume this is a Nebraska motivated decision, but I think it fits into that vein of it's the Big Ten versus the SEC just as much, if not more, than it's the Big Ten working with the SEC. And if we bring that home even more, what's going to get Nebraska in the playoff is how it fares in the Big Ten, especially as we look towards the future. I mean, the 2026 playoff, as of right now, is going to have the same format. It's the last year of the 12-team deal before it sounds like the Big Ten and the SEC are working on trying to get the playoff expanded. But winning a non-conference game, as big as it might be against Tennessee, for example, won't help Nebraska get in the playoff moving forward when you get multiple automatic qualifiers from the Big Ten. When you're assured of getting, 4 teams in from the Big Ten and 4 teams in from the SEC, what's going to determine that is your conference record. So why would you expose yourself unnecessarily? Maybe it helps seeding at the end of the year because they wouldn't just plug them in 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So yes, a game like a Tennessee has some benefit in the new system on the margins, but unlike the 4-team playoff, a game against Tennessee won't get Nebraska into the college football playoff. Right. That's going to be about how Nebraska handles the conference schedule.
Yeah, and so we're saying the same thing as the difference. The juice isn't worth the squeeze, and it just shows you how quick college football has changed. Because a game like that, Nebraska at Tennessee, will be must see TV. I'm sure whether it's game day or whatever would be here, Fox, noon kickoff or whatever would be here, whatever the channel would be here. But that's really not worth it anymore. And so everybody's going to be pushing towards, especially at that point in time, if expansion comes, I think at 27 is the possibility. You're pushing towards trying to get into that maybe 16 or 14, 16, and then get into those kind of play-in games that are your mini bowl games during championship weekend. That's what you want, and that's what you need. And those they would drive as much or maybe even more eyes to your program and money into your pockets as well.
I think so too. Last thing for me is from the text line here. 6145 says, I believe the reason they did the schedule change was to get more home games, which means more revenue for the stadium renovations. Tough missing out on playing a quality opponent, though. That's the stated reason. And again, I don't know the financials. I don't know how much Nebraska football brings in on a per game basis. But think about the fact that a big chunk of that revenue from a home stadium gate is going to go to, paying the MAC team to come in both years. Yeah. And you just paid $500,000 to cancel both games. That's $1 million extra dollars out of your pocket to back out of the Tennessee series. Will 2 more home games against MAC teams offset that difference to a point that Nebraska has some money left over in the bank to actually put towards stadium renovations? Without knowing the financials, I'm skeptical of that. So I know that's what they're saying, and I can see, at first glance, how that's some logic. And I'm sure they have money, people that dove into this, and this is the fiscally prudent choice. At least that's what I'm going to take them at their word that it is. But I'm a little skeptical that getting 2 home games against MAC teams is going to cover the bill for backing out of Tennessee and actually put money in Nebraska's pocket to add to stadium renovations. I get that's why they said what they did. I just don't know if I'm fully on board with that explanation right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard if you don't know all the financials and stuff like that, but you'd like to think they probably looked at the worst case scenario, best case scenario, and something that's kind of more realistic. So I doubt they did this move knowing that they, going to lose money, considering that they got to put money towards the stadium renovation. I think they look at it, cost analysis of what's the biggest outcome of playing them. Mm-hmm. You pay not to play them. Okay, what do we got to pay the teams to come into play? And then what's our average home game, net gain? And then you'd like to say, okay, that should increase by, 10, 15%. So that would knock down even the exit fee, to some degree. So, I think Nebraska, obviously those 2 games won't make as much because you're going to have to pay, to do it. But ultimately, now the pressure rests on Nebraska not only to, maybe accentuate the game day experience, right? Make it, more financially, appealing to people to, spend money and donate and all that. But then also you got to make sure you continue on to, be a good, viable team. And so that means you got to play well, and you got to play well against, the teams that you bring in, because that's going to help whatever's the next week. And what are you doing the next week as far as, we're trying to, get back some of that money. And so it's got to be a decision you made, and I'm sure they're comfortable with it. And then I think the best thing you could do is make the decision, believe in it, live it, love it, and just, make the next decision that you make, and also make the decision that you made right. How do you do that? Hard work, better football, consistency, obviously leading up to it. And then obviously all those things that I mentioned prior will actually start knocking down maybe some of that bill for the stadium renovation. So you'll be winning on both ends. But like Austin said, we're going to take a quick break, come back, talk a little bit, maybe a little Husker basketball, but then also some NFL news as well. Is ever changing. Brandon Staley is back. Mr. Gamble is back. hey, listen, man. When you're the head coach and you gamble like that, and the offensive coordinator still is able to call plays and get another job, you say, listen, man, you owe me one. And he does owe one. He's the defensive coordinator at the New Orleans Saints. Jay Foreman, Austin Oerman. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Oerman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services is here to help you protect things that are most important to you. Whether it's your home, your family, or your future, Jack Russell has the proven experience to get the job done while developing authentic relationships with you. Give Jack a call today at 402-421-9100. Again, that's 402-421-9100. Or visit one of his 2 locations in Lincoln or Seward and learn how you can excel in the complicated world of insurance. Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, a trusted and well-respected representative since 1999.
Have you heard about Advanced Medical Imaging Surgery Center? Located at 7555 Pioneers Boulevard, Advanced Medical Imaging Surgery Center offers compassionate, patient-focused care and provides outpatient surgery services, making it possible to have non-emergency surgery and return home the same day. Advanced Medical Imaging Surgery Center specializes in cardiology, vascular radiology, orthopedics, pain management, and much, much more. Give them a call today at 402-261-1085 or online at amimaging.com.
When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call Greens at 402-467-4444 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-467-4444.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even through the winter. Bauer, usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, go Big Red!
Attention all wing fans! Buffalo Wings and Rings has daily specials that will make you want to stop in on all days of the week. Kids eat free on Mondays, and on Tuesdays, enjoy 89-cent boneless or traditional wings at a price that makes the whole family happy. And come back on Wednesdays for $1.29 chicken tenders all day long. Get to Wings and Rings today at 68th and O or in Williamsburg Village.
Mulberry Barbecue now has a brand new second location to help all your lunch and dinner cravings. Stop by their newest location at 6125 Apples Way near Lowe's off of Highway 2. They have everything from smoked turkey sandwiches to brisket burritos to burn-in sandwiches and pulled pork. Try a dinner plate option of barbecue nachos, a half-smoked chicken, a full slab of ribs, and so much more. Mulberry Barbecue open Monday to Saturday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. at 11th and Cornhusker Highway and now at 6125 Apples Way in South Lincoln.
Rain, snow, or shine, John Henry's is here to keep your home's plumbing systems working properly no matter what kind of weather Nebraska throws at us. From unclogging toilets and drains to installing new water heaters and water treatment systems, John Henry's is your plumbing expert in the Lincoln and Omaha communities. Visit us at calljh.com or call
John Henry's.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air,
and Electrical.
What's going on, fans? This is Lexi Rodriguez, four-time All-American at Nebraska and now proud member of Omaha's newest professional team, Love Omaha Volleyball. League One Volleyball is bringing the heat this year. Don't miss your chance to see Olympians, national players, and national champions right here in Omaha from now through April. We can't wait to see you cheering us on in the stands. Visit lovboma.com to buy single match tickets to see me and Love Omaha Volleyball in action this season. Go Big Green!
Husker fans, excited for some softball action at Bowlin Stadium this year, but can't commit to a full season ticket? They've got you covered. Introducing the On Deck Deal. Snag tickets to 5 Husker home games for as little as $30. This partial season lets you choose any 5 games, including one from the Maryland series. Whether you prefer general admission or reserve seating, packages start at just $30. Get your on-deck deal today at huskers.com/tickets.
Hey Husker Nation, this is Todd Euler, two-time national champion, here to talk to you about Window World Lincoln. At Window World, we specialize in replacement windows, doors, siding, and roofing. Whether you're looking to enhance the beauty of your home or increase its energy efficiency, we've got you covered. And here's the best part. We offer the best for less. Our team is dedicated to providing top quality products and exceptional service at affordable prices. We want to earn your business and make your home improvement dreams a reality. So why wait? Contact Window World Lincoln today at 464-7313 or visit our website at windowworldlincoln.com. Window World Lincoln, where quality meets affordability.
Back to old school on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Well, we're back. Jay Foreman, Austin Oerman, old school, the new school way. We're doing it on this Friday. Obviously, we talked about Nebraska, Tennessee. People will be able to stew on that all weekend, Austin. Everybody will be upset for about another week or two, I guess, or whenever the the spring game stuff comes out. But got some NFL news, right? Unfortunately, the NFL players and I guess actors and actresses, houses getting robbed. Jets player just was followed and robbed. It's just crazy how they're getting everybody's address. The Jaguars, which proceeding before they hired Gladstone as a new GM, the best post firing of a head coach when Doug Peterson got fired and Trent Baalke was there on pretty much like me and you and Zoom, and Shad Khan said, he'll be around until my head coach said the head coach said fired. Hey man, it's you gone. And then you got the franchise tags coming up, and we delved into it a lot yesterday. One college football note here, which I think is really, really interesting. Michigan basketball, or Michigan extended their head coach when they had the Indiana speculation. Now, what that does is, and we could just talk about a little bit of college basketball, because obviously Nebraska's playing actually Michigan, I think, their next game, is that Austin, when Indiana decides, or it becomes, I guess, the point that where Mike Woodson decides to leave, and he's a little bit older, and I like Woody. He's a good dude, man. Yeah. He really is, man. He was a heck of a player. He's a really good coach. I just think losing a couple players and age and stuff and support staff, just didn't work out well for him. Plus, the Big Ten was changing. But when you're a blue blood like Indiana, and that is a blue blood of basketball of blue bloods, right? And you've been struggling for a while. You think you still have the same cachet where you can just go pluck off a coach from a top 12 team in Michigan and say, you know what, why wouldn't he come here? Why wouldn't he already, maybe he wouldn't sign, in that extension, because then that means he's probably out the door. Well, now you're already at your second choice now, because that doesn't happen if he's not one of your top, your top choice. I mean, is like four guys you probably would be okay with, and he's one of them. Well, slowly but surely that list starts to dwindle down, and then you're going to be like, man, Woody wasn't that bad. Maybe we should have kept him on a year. Maybe we didn't support him as much. The worst thing I think that college athletic departments or whatever they do is and this is Kirk Cignetti. When Tom Allen was there, and this is obviously in football, but it's no different than basketball, right? Indiana being a blue blood, they should be a big player, I think, especially with Mark Cuban being alumnus in basketball NIL. That's just what I think. But Tom Allen was there as a football coach. Zero. Absolutely zero support in NIL. None. And this is after losing two NFL receivers, McFadden on the defensive side, a plethora of defensive backs, and more importantly, Michael Penix. Right? You don't get those type of players and talents through Indiana often in this day and age in football. And then not having to support financially, and then also him just coaching to kind of keep his head above water. You go back to when he wanted to keep it within a 3-score game against Ohio State at the beginning of the year. And then here comes Kirk Cignetti from James Madison, of all places, right? Essentially a lateral job, where it's it's not too big of a job for Kirk Cignetti. And next thing you know, you got $5 or $6 million into NIL, and it boosts it up. Now, granted, they made it all worth it because you had to pay Cignetti more money and coordinators more money. But ultimately, it was a bigger gamble, I think, going from a known product to an unknown product. And when you think about Michigan about to play Nebraska here, they're keeping their head coach, but then the domino effect down to Indiana, and then whoever Indiana, maybe they hire a coach from wherever they are at, the domino effect that they have to now try to level up with the same type of coach that got hired to go to University of Indiana, or if they lose a coach to another job, man. It's crazy how one move can affect here's the thing, Austin. Over under one coaching move, and obviously it's depending on what sport, because obviously the support staff in football is significantly higher than basketball. But let's just go basketball. One move like that from Indiana, over under, I'm gonna say 100 people it affects.
Oh, over.
Okay.
I'm pretty confident in that, because when you think about assistant coaches that would move, assistant coaches that would go get a job somewhere else, be promoted, whether it's to a high major head coach, mid major head coach, whatever it is. Assistants, up and down the spectrum, the staffers behind the scenes. Yeah, I mean, I think if you go to a job like Indiana, you're going to want to bring a lot of your guys with you. They help you be successful. And then there's a lot more churn at the mid-major level too. A lot of turnover for guys that they get a little bit of a bump, they get promoted. Guys that maybe take a lateral move in terms of, group of 5 or mid-major to mid-major, but it's maybe from what was it? Fairleigh Dickinson's coach did, right?
Yeah.
Moving from Fairleigh Dickinson all the way up to Iona. That's a step up for him, right? He's getting paid more, maybe slightly better facilities, but that's still a lateral move if you look big picture. So I think there would be significantly more than 100 coaches and support staffers affected based off of what Indiana decides to do.
Yeah, that's crazy when you think about it. And that's why I'm always wary of people that are quick to say fire coaches and all that stuff and all that. And that doesn't mean that you keep coaches that can't coach, right? I'm not saying that, but it's so easy for people to sit up here and say, all right, let's fire whatever coach. And it also it affects some people. I think when assistant coach leaves, because you got to think the assistant to the assistant coach or support staff is tied to him. Say they take 1 or 2, well, the ones that are left over are probably, they probably do have some continuity there, but you expose a lot of people. And that's why when you have to really look at a coach, or I look at a coach, I look at it like a coach, being a head coach, or I guess, let's say a D coordinator, coach in a high, high authority, position. Man, you got to, first thing obviously you got to be a good dude, right? You got to be a good person and all that. I mean, there are some that aren't. But you got to be selfless, man. I'm telling you, man, you got to be selfless. Now, if you're, if I'm a head coach and I'm making $2 and somebody's coming in and about to pay me 20, I'm gone. and I might leave you a little care package so you understand it, but I'm gone. Right now, when sometimes you have to turn your phone off or not listen to your agent at every single call or inquiry that you get in the off season for the betterment of. When people say the betterment of the university, they always think just big picture of the university. Like, if I'm the head coach at Nebraska, I got to do what's best for Nebraska, and that's just in particularly just tied to what's on the field, the football team, maybe the legacy. What you also have to do with the betterment up sometimes, and hopefully this more times than not, is think about the special teams coach's secretary, my secretary, the support staff, the scouting staff. Because even though you'd like to pick up and just take your operation to, say I got a head coaching job at Kansas State or whatever, they might be like, we can't bring all those people. We can't afford them. Mm-hmm. We want you, but we want you to hire somebody else. There's a lot of things that go into it that I don't think people get credit for it. And obviously, when we're talking about Indiana or any coach that has to move on, and especially when you're dealing with the blue blood, the amount of people that's affected, and that's why it's so important to be respectful. I know a lot of people don't respect people in general, but it's important that you try to do it because you got to show some class. I think ultimately, as much as we feel about how somebody's doing their job and not doing their job good enough, there's people that are highly paid and you know, I guess more experienced. That's debatable, but you know, people are getting paid to make those decisions, to watch all their moves. Our job is to essentially look and see what's on the field and really, really just dive in and focus on that, and you know, not take the easy low hanging fruit and say, you know what, Jay Foreman decides not to run cover 3 but he ran it in practice, but I'm supposed to be in the flat. And I decide to not. I just, you know, decide to cover the, you know, the deep middle. I don't necessarily know if that's a coaching. I don't know if the coaching mistake. I don't think it is, because here's why. Perfect example: the magical year for Minnesota back in, what was it, 19 or whenever it was? When, remember the year that they beat Penn State, right?
Yeah.
Was it Was that 19?
I think it was 19. Yeah.
Okay.
Morgan and Bateman and Ottman Bell.
Right. Yeah. And Winfield Jr. was a young pup. They were playing South Dakota State at home. Yeah. South Dakota State had walked the dog on them, Austin. Beat them which now granted, they had Cobb and they ran the ball pretty effectively. But South Dakota State was the better team. The most crucial play was a cover 3 call on defense. And Minnesota essentially ran what I call a spacing route. Flat, middle, and ran like a 7-cut towards the sideline. They covered the deep in the middle and didn't cover the flat with the flat guy. They got a first down. 2 plays later, they scored, tied a game, overtime, strike up the band. They are off and running. And it gave them the confidence to beat, I think, Georgia Southern, you know, or whatever. And then remember, they went out to Fresno as well. Now, I know that I don't have all the games right. Right. And and they went out there. Right. So you got to think, man, it's like, you know, as much as people want to point the fin, and that South Dakota State is that coach that was there is a pretty dang good coach, as we've seen. So, you know, I'm always careful about that. I know we went off a little bit of a tangent, but yeah, it's interesting about Michigan and Indiana and the head coach May and where he won't go and where he's not going to go. Obviously, is Indiana, and who's next.
And really interesting timing too, Jay, because here in the next hour, they're taking on Michigan State in basketball. They announced this extension, you know, within a few hours of game time. That's some pretty interesting timing for the coach and everyone.
Hey, Austin. Hey, I just got paid. I'm coming out there pimping, boy. Yeah, you right? Okay, hey, I'm coming out there strutting. Go ahead. You know what I'm right? It might be the best pregame speech. You know, we're not popping water bottles. We're popping champagne in there after that. Victory. Yeah.
I'm about it. I'm also curious to see, Jay, because this is now 2 straight off seasons. We'll have a highly desirable college basketball job open up. Last year was Kentucky, and the way that all went down, right? That affected well more than 100 people. Some unexpected twists and turns in that coaching search. And Kentucky was in a much better spot under John Calipari than Indiana is right now.
Yeah.
Kentucky, I don't want to say it had to settle for Mark Pope, who's a darn good coach and doing some really good things. And I thought it was a slightly underrated hire at the time. But if Kentucky and everything that program has been to the sport of college basketball since its inception, and even how it's been at the forefront of a lot of stuff in college basketball over the last, 15 years, if Kentucky struck out on its top targets, some of the biggest names in the sport, if you're Indiana, you got to be careful. You got to shoot for the stars. You got to remember who you are and try to flex some muscle. But if Kentucky missed, I'm not going to blame Indiana for missing or blame people for turning Indiana down. Kentucky's a better job.
Yeah, what do they say? You miss every shot you're going to take. So, we'll see what's. Hey, and then when you make that 3, it's the best 3 possible. So, anyways, we're going to take a quick break and come back, put a bow on this Friday. Jay Foreman, Austin Oerman, Old School. We'll holler at you in a second.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Oerman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Load up on meat and more this winter at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This week's special through March 4th is $1 off crisscross pretzels, buy one, get one free on hot dogs, and $2 off Piedmontese brats. Locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, or 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstorats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats.
At Lincoln Family Chiropractic, they believe everyone deserves to live a pain-free and active life. Whether it's neck pain, shoulder pain, or lower back pain, Lincoln Family Chiropractic specializes in customized care for every patient to promote faster healing, allowing you to get back to an optimal life. Lincoln Family Chiropractic's team specializes in treatments such as dry needling, cupping therapy, and traditional adjustments. Give Lincoln Family Chiropractic a call today, 402-484-5166. Visit them online at lincolnfamilychiro.com or in person, 1 block south of 70th and 8th Street in Lincoln.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see mostly sunny skies with light winds and an afternoon high near 22. Tonight, mostly clear skies. It will be cold, a low of around 9. And tomorrow, we'll see mostly sunny skies and light winds again, a high near 38. I'm meteorologist Kyle Plecker for 93.7 The Ticket and ticketfm.com.
Attention all wing fans! Buffalo Wings and Rings has daily specials that will make you want to stop in on all days of the week. Kids eat free on Mondays, and on Tuesdays, enjoy 89-cent boneless or traditional wings at a price that makes the whole family happy. And come back on Wednesdays for $1.29 chicken tenders all day long. Get to Wings and Rings today at 68th and O or in Williamsburg Village.
Rain, snow, or shine, John Henry's is here to keep your home's plumbing systems working properly no matter what kind of weather Nebraska throws at us. From unclogging toilets and drains to installing new water heaters and water treatment systems, John Henry's is your plumbing expert in the Lincoln and Omaha communities. Visit us at calljh.com or call
John Henry's.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
And Electrical.
Have you heard about Advanced Medical Imaging Surgery Center? Located at 7555 Pioneers Boulevard, Advanced Medical Imaging Surgery Center offers compassionate, patient-focused care and provides outpatient surgery services, making it possible to have non-emergency surgery and return home the same day. Advanced Medical Imaging Surgery Center specializes in cardiology, vascular radiology, orthopedics, pain management, and much, much more. Give them a call today at 402-261-1085 or online at amimaging.com.
At Fairway Meat Market, your family, and as part of the family, they want to save you money on your meat and groceries. Now through February 23rd, enjoy all-natural boneless chicken breasts for $2.98 per pound. 8-ounce USDA Choice Bacon Wrap Sirloin Filet for $4.99 each. Pepsi, Coke, or 7-Up Mix and Match $3.99 each when you buy 3. And Busch Light 30 racks just $16.99 when you buy more than $6 in fresh meat. That's all at Fairway Meat Market in the Rockledge Square Shopping Center, just south of 84th and Van Dorn. Discover the difference that expertise and experience can make in your real estate journey with Next Ag Appraisal and Realty. Whether you need an appraisal, sales, or farm management, Next Ag comes up with a solution with your legacy and goals in mind. Next Ag isn't just their name, it's your future. So why wait? Visit their website today at www.nextagrealestate.com or give them a call at 402-380-0432 and turn your dreams into reality. Your land, your legacy, their solutions. Next Ag Appraisal and Realty.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Back to old school on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Quick segment, Jay Foreman, Austin Oerman, before we turn it over to corner 3. Austin, I want to ask you, man. Since you say corner 3 is your show, is that your favorite shot? Is that Is that your shot?
No, the original name sort of came from when it first started. There was me and two buddies, so it was 3 people, and then kind of the general format of the show is 3 topics. So I had to come up with something with 3 in the name. My favorite shot is whichever one I'm taking. It's going down. That's kind of my attitude. But I was actually more of an above the break 3 kind of guy. I was a wing, top of the key, playing against a 1-3-1 or a 2-3. I could sit in the corner, I could knock it down, but I was also kind of that high post guy at Lincoln Lutheran a little bit, facilitating from there. So no, I was mostly free throw line to free throw line.
I like that. I can see you with a nice little mid range. I can see the ultimate execution and efficiency. I can see that.
You know it.
Yeah. I can see your game like that, Austin.
I'm not a free throw merchant. I'm about the jumper. It's working. It ain't broken. It's good.
The one thing ain't broken though, Austin, is that rivalry against Michigan and Michigan State tonight.
Hey.
May just got paid. Izzo's on the hunt. They're coming off an exciting game. Real quick, who you picking?
This one is, I believe, in Ann Arbor. So because of that, I'm going to take Michigan. I think it's also a bad matchup for Michigan State because Michigan State is a team that just kind of throws the ball at the rim and hopes it goes in, and they crash the glass. Michigan State's advantage will be if it can hold Michigan to 1 shot and get out in transition. I think over the course of 40 minutes, I like Michigan State's guard depth more than I like Michigan's. But if this turns into a half-court game, one and done on both sides, Michigan's just a little bit too big for Michigan State. If they're able to control tempo, having the 4-5 combination of Wolf and Golden together, a couple bigger guards as well, I like Michigan in this one. I hope it's close. I think it's close. Styles are going to make fights in this one. I think with the news of the Dusty May extension being at home at the Chrysler Center and, Michigan's ability to rebound like 34% of its own misses, I trust that Michigan's going to be good enough on the boards to neutralize that advantage that Michigan State has over most other teams.
Yeah, I think so too. But I also think that you're starting to see the emergence of Frankie Fiddler. I think he's the key to Michigan State's run or lack of it. I think he's getting used to, I think he's finally gotten used to Big Ten basketball. I think Tom Izzo has gotten used to his skill set. I think he's actually worked harder to improve on defense. If he has a big game tonight, I think the lack of size will be offsetted with Michigan State getting a efficient and a plentiful game in the scoring column from Frankie Fiddler. So if he is as he goes, so does Michigan, because I think the known factor for Michigan State will play. But I think that, man, you always talk about 2 bigs. Them are some 2 big dudes that he got, man, up there. And he like Ralph Sampson and Ralph Sampson and who used to write Hakeem Olajuwon. They kill it. Man, that's who they like. They got and obviously not as good, but they killing them, man. Well, anyways, Austin, I know you got to get to corner 3. We went a little bit long, man. I'm sorry about that. Appreciate you guys listening and working with me this week, Austin. I'm going to handle my business, man, and get back on the mend, and I'll see you sometime next week, my brother.
It's a plan. Have fun this weekend. Handle business. I'll see you next week, Jay Foreman.
All right.